This document, Al-Mizan, was written by a group of 300 organizations for the United Nations Environmental Program. So when 300 people write a document, you can imagine how complicated is the arrangement and all that thing. So it wasn't an easy document to summarize. No, when I presented it at the interfaith at what do you call that place? Agape. It was a difficult one. Now I'm going to do it myself. I'm just doing my style. Is that all right?
That's perfect, Arthur. Thanks.
Do you remember the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you the story anyway, just to say. Goldilocks, the Three Bears, because every component of this story is very important to this talk. The Three Bears made porridge, and it was too hot, not suitable for them. So they went out for a walk, and I'm just going to briefly. Goldilocks came in. What happened? Tasted the porridge. The daddy's one is too sweet. The mother's one is too salty. The baby's one is, they're all, something's wrong with them. So, no, the baby's one was right. So she ate the porridge and then decided to sit down. The one chair was too big. The other one was too soft. And the baby's one was too small and the chair broke. So she decided to go and, very briefly, lie down. This bed was too hard. The other bed was too soft or whatever. And the last bed was nice and soft. So she fell asleep. And the bears came home. Just imagine big, gigantic bears complaining, etc. And then finally found her asleep comfortably in their bed and chased her, and Goldilocks ran away. Can you see what is happening here? When things are not in balance, they go wrong. People are not happy. But when things are nicely balanced, there's some big corporation, somebody trying to stop it all to chase you out. And in your own experience too, when you have pot plants in the house, you're going on holiday, what do? You flood it, and perhaps when you come back, the plants were dead because it was over-flooded. Can you imagine the problem that the plants suffer when there was too much water because you flooded it? There's an anaerobic condition coming in the pots. The roots are starved of oxygen. I can go into details of what happens, but it is not the time. Or you forgot to water it, and the plants become dry and dead. After you being away for 2 weeks holiday. Can you imagine the processes that the plants went through during the process of being dry? It starts to shut the stomata to save water. And then processes happen to allow the plants to try and get as much water as it can. Salts from the vacuoles come into the cells, trying to pull up, but finally it loses more water and come to a stage of incipient plasmolysis. In other words, there's a chance for it to recover if it gets water. But if it still doesn't get water, doesn't get help, there's a permanent stage or permanent wilting point. It will not recover. Or even fertilizer, you're using the wrong fertilizer and the plants just, instead of flowering, it just go all green. So this is what is happening to the world. In the BBC News recently, wildlife species are declining down by 73%. The world is in a desperate state. Initially, it was in balance. There was a program by David Attenborough recently on how the world was formed and eventually became established over time to be suitable for mankind. There are many verses in the Quran on how the world is made suitable for man and how our Creator asks us to treat it with care. So maybe this is a topic for future talk. Next slide. I'm having problem with this. My thing's not moving. Oh heck, there. In the next. In the Quran, because I'll be quoting mainly the Quran. The earth we have spread it out, cast it in mountains, firm, grown it in all things in equilibrium. And we have provided in its sustenance for you and for those whom you do not support, meaning all creatures. And the Quran also reminded that there is no animal that moves on the earth, no any birds that wings it flights, but it's community like yourselves. So there's that reminder there that there is balance, everything for mankind, for every living creature in it since the beginning of time, not just only on the surface of the earth, but in the oceans as well. You have seen the TV programs telling what now they have discovered in the depths of the ocean, even at many, many kilometers deep. And again in the next slide, and the earth was spread it out, casting it mountains firm, and grown in it all things in equilibrium, were provided in its sustenance for you and those whom you do not support. So that's a reminder that everything has to be in balance, not just for mankind. What's happening to the world? You can see from that slide there, the world is in a mess. We've extracted fossil fuels and imbalanced the world by burning fossil fuels, raising carbon dioxide from when I was young, it was about 330 parts per million. Today, it's 420 parts per million. I mean, when humankind came just about to appear on Earth, it was 280 parts, 280. But within that short period, it went to for quite a long period, it went to 330. But within the short period of 60 years, it's just shot up to 420 parts per million with all its effects of global warming. Please interrupt me if I'm not clear, if I don't say it just quite right. So the consequences of the increased greenhouse gases, global warming, heating of the seas and land, and the consequences of that. You can imagine, you have seen programs about the effect of heating of land, the seas getting warmer. Look at that. We have hurricanes, flooding, fires, sea levels rising, coral reefs dying. And now what? Not satisfied with that, we've discharged plastics into the oceans, into the environment, into our bodies. I heard that even mother's milk has plastic in them. And that will travel to our brain and cross the blood-brain barrier. And what are the consequences of that? Just imagine. I also read recently, we're using plastic chopping boards. And as we cut the stuff and all the little microplastics on those chopping boards go into our food, go into our bodies, upsetting our endocrine levels, our hormone levels affected by it. I was looking at my grandchildren's, my daughter's chopping board too. They were scored, all those bits going into the grandchildren's bodies. What is the effect on that? We have plastic bottles everywhere. Everywhere. And not only that, we contaminate the environment with pesticides which kill insects. I have only seen one butterfly this year. Bees, butterflies, food for birds. We discharge effluents into the sea, killing fish and upsetting the balance in the world. Look at Loch Ness, for example. We are facing an ecological disaster. It's sad what's happening to the world. There. With climate change, where people fleeing countries that are blighted by droughts and sea levels rising. To top to that, wars and conflicts result in 110 million people displaced in the world. Women, children, and the old are the ones who mainly suffer these man-made disasters. Can we blame those people for emigrating? Of course, immigration into countries that are not prepared for it, the infrastructure is not ready. Can you imagine the consequences of that? We've seen this. It is mainly mankind that have caused these problems, imbalances, and problems. The Quran reminded us this. Don't forget this 1400 years ago. The corruption has appeared on the land and in the sea by what the hands of mankind have wrought, that he may let them face the consequences of their deeds so that they turn back. This Quran, chapter 30, verse 41. It'd be interesting if you open the translation of the Quran. One of the popular ones is by Pickthall. The other one is Yusuf Ali. Those are normally referred to. And why is this all happening? Because man love wealth. They just love wealth with abounding love. Now, in the creation of man, the Lord said to the angels, I will create a successive human authority or Khalifa on earth. Why Khalifa? He was created to steward, in the broadest sense of the word, to shepherd the earth, to be responsible in looking after it, including its creatures, rather than just to exploit it. It is our duty, individually and collectively, to do so, to act as caretakers of the earth. It is an obligatory duty for everyone to look after the earth.
Actually, about another 5 minutes.
Okay? So the document Al-Mizan summarize all these things that I'm said all these things that we have to do something about it. The Quran reminded that man has to decide to change what is happening. God will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in it themselves. And let there be a community amongst you that calls for what is good, urge what is right, and forbid what is wrong. So Al-Mizan is a call for action, call to arms, shall we say? Or is that the wrong word? For people, human, mankind, yourself, myself, to do something about it. And it has listed what we should do. One of the things that comes in the Quran is for us not to waste. The very, very basic thing that we have to do is stop being wasteful. There is a hadith, which is a saying of the Prophet, that even if you are washing yourself beside a river, don't waste that water. The Quran prohibits wastefulness and advises moderation, encourage responsible consumption. Think of the coming months, Halloween or whatever, when there are all kinds of festivals. There's so much waste going on. To start off with, we'll start to reduce, reuse, recycle. So we have the way forward is to understand the environment, follow the instructions of, for Muslims anyway, for the Quran or from other sources of your books, your holy books, to stop being wasteful, to respect, care for all creation, and to establish weight. The Quran says to establish weight with justice and not fall short of the best of the balance. So the way forward is for individuals to do something about it. And we can talk about it. And then, of course, for the community to do something about it, the government has to do something about it. NGOs, communities have to do something about it. Now, just very briefly, what can the individuals do? Adopt sustainable practices. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Practice be frugal. Energy conservation. Reduce water conservation. Fix leaks. Support local products, local farmers. Save that air miles, as they call it. Try. Be frugal. Engage in community environment. We have to discuss at another stage what to do for all of these things here. Advocate green policies. Ensure rights and welfare of all things. So, lastly, we'll have to be just about doing the right things to correct the present imbalance in the world. I'll leave you with this. O you who believe, stand firmly for justice as a witness to God, even as against yourself, your own personal selves, or your parents, or your kin, or whatever it be, against rich or poor. For Allah can protect both of you. Follow not the lust of your hearts, lest you distort justice or decline to do justice. Verily, Allah, our God, is well acquainted with all that you do. With that, I say peace.
Raja, in the presentation you did in the Agape Center, you finished with a prayer. Do you have that prayer? Oh, yes.
Here's a prayer. Let's pray. We ask the Lord of all beings to guide us, all of humankind, to mend the devastation in the earth, that we as a species and as individuals cease distorting his creation, to return to the natural way of God in which he originated us. We ask the Lord of all beings to guide us aright, to care for this beautiful, glorious earth and all that live on it, and to help us remember, show gratitude, and render devotion most beautiful. And to bear in mind what the Quran says, the servants of all the merciful are those who walk gently on earth. Peace be upon you. Any questions?
Thank you, Raja.
I'm into that.
So I appreciate comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, it was extremely interesting and right to the point,
The writings in the Quran are so clear on
aren't they? They're absolutely clear as, yeah.
Yeah,
I
very
agree.
clear. It is, there are other topics that is so clear.